Alright, so this is my third day here in Tokyo. The family here's been really awesome. Staying in just like a small little homestay thing, I think. It's like an little apartment room. I think there's a couple of other people up here on this floor who are like living here as homestay. Now-san, who's my host mother downstairs, is from Thailand, and I think they're all the rest of the floor is relatives who are from Thailand. I don't really see a whole lot of them. I think they work during the day, so I don't know. Mostly I'm gone during the day. So what I've been up to is back in Toyota. That was really awesome. Went and saw one of their factory floors. Took me a while to get there. It was raining and I had to walk for like half an hour from the train station to the showroom that they had. And when I got there, there were like a bunch of little kids like lined up outside, like waiting to go inside. They were all kind of just like staring at me like, what's this other guy doing here? That was kind of funny. So I had to get directions because there were like 10 buildings right there, all said Toyota on the side of them, and like it was like they said on the reservation thing that like, oh yeah, make sure you go to this museum because this other museum is a totally different thing. I'm like, oh, okay. So that went well, and then we took a bus over to one of their factories and then watched all their factory stuff, and it was really cool. It was kind of like watching how it's made, but in real life. One of the things there were two things that I noticed that I thought were really cool. One is that there's all this tape all over the floor, right? And it's like concrete or whatever, and like so there's like the black tape and there's green tape and orange tape, and when they're teaching you electronics in college, one of the first robotics projects they give you is like, here, have this car that has a camera on the bottom follow the black line. Like they tell you to program a program that makes it adjust whenever it bumps into the black line. And that's pretty much what was going on that floor. They had like there were a bunch of like manned cars and there were a bunch of unmanned cars, and all the unmanned cars were following the black stripes along the road. So Jason, just so you know, that stuff is useful in real life. Sadly. But I guess if it works, then why mess with it? The other thing I thought was interesting was that when we were watching the videos of like the welding machines, we didn't really get to see a whole lot of the welding machines. We saw mostly the assembly line where people would take cars that are mostly all the parts are made. They're just putting all the parts together, and on the welding arms in the video, they all said Kawasaki on the side. I didn't realize that that they would do that, or that, I don't know. I don't know. I thought it was interesting. I'm wondering now if Kawasaki is owned by Toyota or if they're separate companies. One of the interesting things I thought about the assembly line was that they had just any sort of model go through the assembly line. I had imagined that that when they had an assembly line, it was going to be dedicated to a certain type of model. That way you could do the same thing over and over and over, and you wouldn't get confused about which parts you needed where. But they just kind of sent them through whichever, so okay. So that must be confusing, or at least for new guys anyway. When I was leaving the Toyota showroom to go back onto the train, I'm carrying around like this backpack, right? And it's probably like 60 pounds or so. Like, it's pretty heavy. I had stored it in I had checked it at the counter at the Toyota museum, and the lady who took it sort of managed it all right, but the lady who went to go grab it when I was leaving, like, couldn't manage it because it was so heavy, and she had to go get like another coworker to like help her like lift it out of the back room. It's kind of funny. I mostly made it all right on the trains. I had one slip up where I took a different line to Nagoya, and this old guy noticed that I was like looking at the map lines on the inside of the train with a little confusion, and he went up to me and he just points at the station that we started from with his umbrella and then slides it in the direction that we were going, and then it's like, oh yeah, that helps. So that was kind of funny. I had to adjust my ticket fare when I got off, but that was fine. When I got to Tokyo Station, it was a little bit different. I was trying to meet Nao-san and her husband at the station, and like the center of the station is like where all the connections are, and then off to the side of that are the Shinkansen connections. But the Shinkansen connections only exit to the outer perimeter, and I thought that they'd be waiting on the outer perimeter because, for whatever reason, I thought that they'd have a car. And, you know, I don't know why I would think that with all my experience in Kyoto. Like, public transport's amazing here. They were waiting on the inside of the on the train ring because they had arrived there by train and were going to escort me to Kitazawa, which is where we're staying. And it took me about 2.5 hours of emailing and public phones to figure out where exactly they were. I finally went and got an information officer to call them who like could speak Japanese, because her Japanese is about it's better than my than her English is better than my Japanese, but we both have a little bit of trouble. Like we understand what each other is saying, but like we have a little trouble communicating. And obviously, this was something that was a little more complicated than we could handle. But yeah, it's been really nice here. We went out the first day after that. We went to Akihabara, which is like the nerd center here in Tokyo, and we went around to a couple of things. I saw a model shop that was it was like a huge mall thing, but upstairs there was a shop for like airplane models, Gundam models, ship models, military models, like little plastic things you put together. It was awesome. There were a lot of Gundam models. I have a video of it. I'll post it up when I get done with the trip. But there were a lot of models. There was like, I don't know, it was like a Walgreens size model store. It was bigger than the ones that we have at home just for planes, cars, and trains. But it was for mostly Gundams and action figures and that sort of thing. They had other stuff in the back and then like auxiliary parts and tools and things. But I think that building, I think it was called the Radio Kaikan, the Radio Museum. Kaikan is museum? I don't know. I think. But yeah, that was pretty awesome. We won one of the claw machine grabs. I already posted about this on Facebook, but these claw machines are like terrible. They're harder than the ones in America. This is the thing that we got out of it. It's pretty sweet. I got a cuttlefish out of a like one of the it's okay. So they have those like little gumball machines with the plastic shell in it with stuff inside. I've been really debating about whether or not that counts as a vending machine. I think my definitions for a vending machine is it has to take money, has to give you something, and has to have electric in it. So I think this type of vending machine does not have electric, so it doesn't count towards the variety vendor achievement, which is really sad because there's a lot of neat toys and stuff in there, and I'm figuring that's where I'll see a lot of the weirder stuff that people talk about in vending machines. But yeah, so I got that stuff. But yeah, the claw machines, they sort of like go down and they look like they're gonna grab it, but then they just sort of like brush against whatever you're grabbing, and it's really sad. And you're like, I'd have to spend like $40 just to get whatever this thing is, and it better be rare or hard to find or something, because it's gonna take forever and a ton of money. But there's another kind that they have uses that same claw, but instead there's like a plastic thing with a loop, and then it holds. It has got a piece of string and it holds up this platform, and if you knock off the lever, it's like sitting on a rubber ball, so it sticks pretty good and it rotates around. Then you get the prize and it like falls down. But that's the one that we won. Apparently, that's a lot easier than trying to pick something up and bring it to the hull. Nonsense. Anyway, after that, the next day, I think we went to Asakusa. Asakusa. And that was really neat. There was it was like a covered market, but it wasn't covered. Lots of tourist stuff. It was neat. We got some like rice cake things with like I think it was black pepper and soy sauce. It was really good. We went and saw the temple that was there. They have like huge red lanterns. I posted pictures of it on Facebook, so there you'll see that. Yeah, and yesterday I went out and we saw most of the time Nao-san and her son Masato-san have been coming with us, or with me. Yesterday it was just me and Nao-san, because I think Masato-san was going out to hang out with friends or something, and we went to try and go see the Ghibli Studio Museum, but I guess they're booked up until the 8th, which is when I leave, so I'm not going to go see them. That's kind of sad, because we got there, it was like kind of a long walk from the station, and then we tried to go to this other museum, which was like a sword museum. It was kind of a small place, but it had like a sizable, it was one room, and they had like 30 sword displays from the 13th century. So I guess in that sense it's kind of a big museum, but I mean it's just a small size. I mean it must have been expensive to acquire all those swords, and they were all really pretty. So that was cool. Yeah. And today I'm gonna try to go to Tokyo Tower. Don't really have any other plans. Not sure how it'll go. I'm working on my scheduling for to try and go and train at the Hanbu. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, that's what's going on. Having a good time. And I just discovered what is it? Gallifreyan alphabeting from Doctor Who this morning, and been playing with that a little bit. It's like a alphabet that does circles instead of linear characters. I think it's really neat. It's really artsy. I'd like to start doing like some sort of haiku poetry in it, but instead of being haiku, it would be like something that's like just for this specific alphabet. It doesn't have like a language. It's just an alphabet. And I don't even think in the show that they use the alphabet the way that it's used popularly on the internet, I guess. And so I don't know. It's cool. What else? Yeah. Oh yeah. One thing about the arcade was that when you were in Akihabara, you'd notice that you'd go into a place and it seemed really exciting, and you'd take an escalator up to the next floor, and you'd hang around there for a little bit, and you're like, oh, okay, this is kind of neat. I want to go home now, or I want to go to the next place. And then you'd realize that there's no down escalator. You have to walk down regular stairs to get out of the building. So it's kind of like one of those draw you in but don't let you leave kind of things. Oh yeah, the first night I was here, when we got back from Tokyo Station, they took me out for sushi, which was good, because we had gone, it's like one of the rotational sushis on a conveyor belt. I think it's called kaiten sushi, I think, and like they didn't quite understand the vegetarian thing yet, so they were like handing me like salmon sushis, and I just kind of grinned and I had to eat it, because that's the polite thing to do. The whole time I was sitting there like watching Indiana Jones from the when he was in India, and like looking at the woman, he's like, eat it. Just kind of like had that visualization, like, okay, I'll do it, Indiana, it's for you. So that was my story. Alright, I will talk to you guys later. It's been exciting. Hope you guys are having a good time.